Great. So welcome back, everyone. So you've heard a bit of a kind of a more general framework from me, hopefully to give you a sense of the different opportunities, different kind of approaches that we're seeing already taking place. But we want to give a bit more of an opportunity to dive into a couple of case studies. So first of all, we're going to hear from Katya Petrovic, who's from Participation Factory. And Participation Factory is it's a civil society organization based in Czechia and kind of working across Slovakia as well. And I think leading some of the most interesting work that I've seen in terms of mainstreaming and kind of embedding participation, particularly at a local government level. So over to you, Katya, to talk a bit about your work and the approaches that you take.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tim, for both the kind introduction and a great presentation in the beginning. I think it gives a good framing to what I'm also going to talk about and other co-presenters. And thank you everyone for being here today. I'll try to touch on the specific topics of establishing participation teams, because that's basically what we focus on in Czech Republic and Slovakia. And since we have a limited time, I'll dive just right into it. So if I'm being a bit repetitive, I'll just speed up. But first of all, I wanted to touch on what the situation nowadays in Czech Republic and Slovakia. As Tim mentioned, this is where majority of our projects are based, and specifically on institutionalizing or mainstreaming participation. We worked with regional governments, but also with municipal governments, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So the situation is the following, is that the value of participation in general is understood. That's not a novelty as it was some years ago. This is something that's intuitively understood as something good and necessary. And participatory approach is mostly introduced to urban planning and policymaking initiatives on project basis that are done on regional level. So in terms of Czech Republic and Slovakia, projects are not happening, or participation is not being looked at as an agenda on a national level, but more so from bottom up on the level of municipalities and regions. As it indicates, the agenda is oftentimes introduced by individuals or by pioneers and people who are strong believers in participation, and it doesn't really come from the institutional standards or legal frameworks. So when it comes to the issues with the current situation that I described, it really follows the same logic as Tim presented. The projects are mostly ad hoc. There's a lack of planning when it comes to the processes. When something comes up, it happens, but there is no coordination between different departments. And therefore, the continuity and the quality is missing. But what's also most importantly, in a lot of cases, it is external contractors who are brought into participatory processes to lead them. So as soon as they finish the project, the know-how and the capacities are leaving together with them, which means that even though the government might be doing the same project for the last 5 years, let's say it's participatory budgeting, they might not be capable of doing it by themselves without relying on the external people. So obviously that also leads to other things like confusing communication with the public. And if things are done ad hoc, the public doesn't know when to expect what. And there is, as I already mentioned, missed opportunities for sharing data, for storing the lessons learned, and for keeping the know-how and the resources and skills within it. And obviously the answer to it, to all those problems, is starting to think systematically and trying to build what we call infrastructure for participation. It's something that needs to be put together in order for it to become kind of semi-automatic. As I mentioned, for us specifically, we worked with 12 municipal districts in Prague, the city of Liberec, and 5 regional governments in Slovakia. In all of those cases, our main focus was on building the capacities and know-how of the internal team or internal coordinator that has been set to focus on participation. We would support that person or that team on planning and consolidating all of the participatory processes across the department, and help them with defining relevant tools for regular engagement. Again, for some cities, it might be participatory budgeting. For some cities, it might be something different. And finally, a very important point for us is internal standards and processes. Even though participation, the way we understand, is facing the public and facing the stakeholders, for us as someone who is helping a local government to set up participation, it's essential to make sure that internally it's understood as an inherent value, that there are processes to ensure quality, and there is very clean and understandable communication between different departments in order to facilitate exchange of information and cooperation. When it comes to capacities and know-how, we basically rely on creating a position of the superhero of participation or participation coordinator. And the participation coordinator is a dedicated person who is the internal know-how hub for participation and is capable of proactively identifying opportunities for participation because they know across the agendas which projects are going to be happening. So they can approach the head of a department of, let's say, transportation and say, hey, you have this project coming next year. It could benefit from engagement of stakeholders and the public. So they map those needs regarding participation, they plan those processes together to create a coherent schedule. And they also work on designing participatory processes, which is a very complex skill, on making sure that the process is tailor-made and really reflects the existing capacities and the needs. And they further on manage and monitor the quality of those processes. In practice, how it looks, I'll just briefly touch on a few examples from different regions that we worked with. For example, participation coordinators worked on environmental education proposals for measure for high schools in coordination with NGOs. That's a project that has been done within the Slovak project that we worked with, where we worked with 5 regions with 5 different teams. Again, the integrated territorial strategies, that's a project that has been coordinated also with the help of the participation coordinators. And otherwise, for example, project with violence against women and creating a regional action plan coordinated by a participation coordinator from one of the regions. The other important thing, as I already been mentioning, is really planning, consolidating participatory processes in order to properly plan internal capacities, but also properly communicate to the public when they should be expecting what, and not to create participation fatigue, which I also am sure everybody knows can be a big issue when you're trying to engage the public. Usually we focus on creating yearly plans together with coordinators and carefully mapping the needs across institutions. Sometimes, as I said, it's proactively coming to the departments, and sometimes it's the head of the departments coming to the participation coordinator to create this request. Tools for regular engagement, as I mentioned, there is a variety of online tools and offline tools that the participation coordinator should be focusing on and selecting based on the needs. And lastly, for internal standards and processes, we're looking at creating data sharing system, interdepartmental cooperation incentives, and generally raising awareness within the organization. When it comes to how to actually get there in practice, usually for the cases in Czech Republic and Slovakia that we worked with, those programs take between 18 to 24 months, and they basically consist from 3 different components. One is what we call diagnostics, is when together with a selected coordinator, we work on identifying what capacities already exist, what mechanisms have already been tested, and basically what's the health of the organization when it comes to running participation. Based on this, we work on creating a specific capacity building plan that targets the participation coordinator, but also includes decision makers within the institution. We learned very quickly from our project in Prague, where we worked with 12 different districts, that one of the key challenges that coordinators face at the very beginning is resistance from the institution. And we were quite naive to think that as soon as you have a coordinator, everybody immediately understands the value of participation. So we actually had to take this step back and actually educate the institution on the basics of participation so they wouldn't push back on it. And then the third and last part is learning by doing. Unfortunately, participation is a skill that's good on paper, but then things happen in life and you have to try and with try and error, learn how to actually do it, especially within your given locality that will have different features. And the way it's structured is that at first, we're basically as participation factory and external experts, we are creating those projects and coordinators shadow our work in order to observe how it is done. And then we gradually phase out, passing on more and more responsibilities. And by the end of those 18 to 24 months, we're just consultants on the call being able to support those projects that coordinators are managing. And since then, within the city of Prague, it's 12 districts that have one coordinator per district. It's still an ongoing initiative. Same with Slovak regions. We worked with 5 different regional governments in Slovakia, in which each one of them, there are 3 people focusing on that. And despite of the political changes in Slovakia on a national level, it's actually very interesting. Participation still is being kind of done and channeled by the coordinators, which for us is a great sign that the infrastructure is helping to maintain participation and make it more resilient, even in the face of political change. And finally, for now, we just kicked off the work with the city of Liberec in north of Czech Republic. The duration is going to be 2 years, and we started working with 1 coordinator for now, but we already have around 14 projects in the pipeline. The interesting part of it is that participation is being used in order to create climate resilient city. So it's a really beautiful combination of participatory efforts and efforts to make a carbon neutral city in the nearest future. My apologies for slowly running over time, but I really wanted to cover all of those things, and I'll be happy to share the slides. I saw the messages that were coming up about slides being shared.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Katia. Are you able to stay with us for a bit longer for Q&A, or did you need to leave?
I'll unfortunately need to leave, but I'm happy to answer any questions by email. But I have another arrangement that started 3 minutes ago. So
okay. So yeah, we'll let you go then, Katia. Thank you very much for your time. And
thank you so much.
if anybody has any questions for Katia, then we can arrange them by email. So great, thank you.
Bye.
So next up, we are going to hear from Tiffany Scognamiglio, and sorry if I've mispronounced your name, Tiffany. So Tiffany works for the French Centre, or Interministerial Centre for Citizen Participation, which is the kind of interministerial body that coordinates and supports participation within the French government. I think France is one of the most interesting national governments in terms of the reforms, like the package of reforms that it's made to support public participation across a number of different areas. So looking forward to hearing more from you, Tiffany. So over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. So yeah, if we can change the slide. Yes, again, because it's just introductional one. Great, thank you. All right, so the idea is that I will quickly present what happened in France regarding citizen participation in the last years. And the idea of this purpose is that you have a clue of how or what was the element that made possible to have a beginning of a public policy for citizen participation. So it started in 2019 with the Great Debate. I don't know if you are all familiar with this, but basically we had a huge crisis in France regarding a carbon tax, and the French president decided to organize a citizens' big debate, Great Debate. which was the most important citizen participation initiative. So after this, it was quite a challenge, because in 2 months, the civil servants, they had to prepare, to design a process in order to open the dialogue with all French citizens. So it was quite an exercise. And after that, we realized that we needed to build, or to have a permanent team that was in charge to design and implement citizen participation processes. So we were created in 2019 after the Great Debate, and our mission is to develop citizen participation, to implement and design strong processes, and and that's it. So that was in 2019. Then we had also in 2020, and maybe you heard about it, it's the Citizens Convention on Climate. This process was a random selected process. I think it was 150 citizens that worked for 9 months on the climate issues, and they worked. At the end, it was a report that they gave to the government, and we had one of the biggest law about climate that we never had from so far. So it was directly based on the citizens' views. In 2021, the third chamber in France, you have the Parliament, the Senate, and there is a third chamber that is the civil society chamber. We had a reform in order to make it the civil society, and also the citizen participation. So we had this reform, and at the same time, we also had a reform that make our missions from the CIPC, what I'm leading, to extend our mission to all the ministries. In 2020, we had a second citizens convention on the end about the end of life. 2023, we developed an app that allows citizens to have a permanent dialogue with the government. So basically, they can answer questions like a consultation, and they can also ask questions directly to ministries, and the ministries, they have to reply during the week to the citizens. In 2024, we launched the fourth OpenGov plan, which was, I think, one of the most ambitious one about citizen participation. And this year, we are working on to publicize, I'm not very sure of the word, but to open the access of the register of grievance. Basically, during the Great Debate, the city councils, they open registers where the citizens could express what they were expecting, their wishes, their complaints, etc. And we have 20,000 registers, which represent 500,000 pages. So we are working on making this available for everyone. So I apologize because I didn't speak English for a while, so I hope you understand everything. In the worst case, you have the slide to as a backup. So maybe to have now I gave you the national background. I can maybe express a bit more about what is the CIPC. If you can go to the next slide, please. So as I said, in 2019, our mission was to, and since 2019, our mission is to develop citizen participation. The objectives that we have is first, we are the administration. I mean, we are the civil servants in charge to set up the national public policy on citizen participation. So we have a ministry. If the ministry wants to do a new action, is calling us. So this is one of our mission. Then we also have the mission to when I say develop citizen participation, it's also about training civil servants. It's really to help to transform the culture. and to have this reflex to include citizens into the citizen policy, the public policy elaboration. We also run the app Agora, and recently now we are in charge of the OGP, and we are working on a specific engagement. I will tell you about after that. It's about creating a status of citizen participant. So to have an entity dedicated to citizen deliberation within the states, it gives some results, good results, I hope. But I put you the results. It allowed 1,300 citizens to take part into deliberative processes. It allows 400,000 citizens to contribute to online consultation. We are helping or designing most of the citizen participation processes at the national scale. It's 77% of them. We worked on more than, in a wide range of public policies. It can be from energy transition to the future of Europe to the housing. It's really a various topic of public policy. Nothing is too complicated and nothing is too expert. We really believe strongly in that we can put in discussion every topic, even if it's a very technical one, because I can tell you that the energy transition is a very technical one, but we made it. We worked 4 days with 200 young people from 18 to 35 years old, and we worked 4 days to really dig into all the topic and understand the dilemma about the energetic mix. So we strongly believe that every topic can be put in discussion. And to have a public entity in charge of these questions, it allows to improve the quality. I saw at the beginning of the workshop, you saw what does it mean to mainstream participation, and one of the key thing that you show it was to improve the quality, and that's true because now we are not inventing every time what we should do as a process, but we are using the previous experience to make this next one better. And we are able to capitalize, I'm not sure of the word, but to have key learnings that we are sharing to all the ministries in order to improve constantly, first the processes and also, of course, the impact of it. Because one of the challenge, we have many challenges in citizen participation, but one of the challenges is also how do you include the citizens' views into a process that is already very intense when you want to build a public policy and when you have a decision process. Many actors are contributing to the decision. You have strengths. I don't know. You have advocacy from different kind of actors, so you have to put the citizens' view into this process. And sometimes it was not think. Our institution are not think to have participatory processes into it. So we have to find the right way at the right moment on the right questions in order to have an impact into the decision. So we are really working both in the quality of the process, but also in how to increase the impact of them into the decision, the final decision. And as I said before, we also think that it's very important to train and to explain what are the goals of citizen participation, because if you want to transform the culture, to transform how to build public policies, you need first to explain what it is, and sometimes it's a lot of confusion behind these words. So we are working on trying to have clear definitions and yes, and to train and to help and to support civil servants or decisioners that want to organize strong and impactful public citizen processes. This is a very overview. Maybe I can tell you a word about the status of citizen participants. This was one of the engagements we have in the OGP. So it's the next slide, please. Thank you. So for this plan, we have 17 engagements. And some of them are very ambitious. To create a status for the citizen participation was something that the civil society was asking for a few years now. And also from the administration perspective, we were thinking about it. So OGP was the right framework to work together about it. Basically, the idea is to recognize and value the participation of the citizens. Because, for instance, for the climate convention, the citizens, they have to come 9 weekends. And 9 weekends, it was almost 9 months of process. Is very demanding for a citizen. So in this case and in other also processes, it's you need to compensate and to value the citizens' participation. And it's not the same to participate one afternoon and to be part of a process so hard as a convention. So what we are working on is to see what we can do to create a status that will allow citizens, for instance, with their employers, to have 3 days to participate without taking it into the account of holidays, for instance. It means that you can come to your boss and ask to be part of a process without losing holidays or other type of 3 days. Another aspect of it is how do you value this experience? Because what we know from the citizens that take part of these processes is that it's quite transforming for them. Some of them, they were not voting anymore for 20 years. I have in mind one of the testimony I heard, but the person, he didn't vote for 20 years. He was really angry against politics, I would say, and he was part of the climate convention, and his experience led him to be now really much more involved and much more willing to think or to participate or to contribute to these public policies. So it's how do you value that? How you can recognize through a certification, or I don't know the real word, but like how you can value this experience in your work, in your community, etc. And one of the other aspect is how do you make more systematic the compensation, the financial compensation? Because, for example, if you have a shop, you're losing a lot of money if you say, okay, I will not open my shop on Friday. So how we can try to give an equal right for everyone to be part of these processes without losing too much. So yeah, it's different aspect, but it's not that easy to implement because for instance, if we create this status and we say that your boss must leave you to, or must accept that you will participate to an event, it touches to the working laws. So you have to change the work law. I mean, every part of this status has a low impact. So I mean, we are working with the state council to see all the juridic the right impact, and to find the best way to create this status without having 5 years of administration process behind it. So we are working on that currently, and we hope that it would be feasible to implement it until the end. So I'm done. I hope I respected the time. I'm very sorry because I really realized that my English is rust, so I should travel a bit more now. So I hope you understood everything, and I can stay for questions. So I mean, I don't know until when we have to stay, but if it's 10 minutes more, I can stay for any questions. So do not hesitate. And thank you very much.
That was fantastic. Thank you very much, Tiffany. And I think it's really exciting the number of different initiatives that the CAPC are taking towards helping to mainstream participation. And I think particularly the system participant status, I think, is a really exciting innovation that hopefully other countries can follow as well. So there is just one question in the chat from Rodrigo asking, how does the Agora work? So if you could give a really quick answer to that question.
Sure. Yes. So Agora initially was a mobile app, and you had two main actions. One, you can answer or you can express your opinion about a public policy. So basically, it's a closed question and open question, so you can express yourself in 5 minutes about the public policies. So that is one part. And the second part is you can ask question to the government. So like the parliament can do it. Every week you have questions to the government. Now the citizens, they can do it. So you can ask your question, and then the most voted questions receive an answer from the ministry in charge. And all the answers are public. So with your app, you have a notification and you receive the answer that the ministries they gave you, or you can see all your questions or the question of the others, and you can participate every week to a new topic. Just parenthesis, as you maybe know, in France we had dissolution, we had a kind of politic troubles. So the app is a bit. I mean, so far, like the government cannot answer every week at the moment, but at the beginning of Agora, it was like this. And you can download it if you want. Agora.gouv.fr if you want to. I hope it was quick enough.
That's great, Tiffany. So we are running a little bit short on time, but Mauro, I see your hand up. So if you want to come in quickly.
Yes, but she has responded to my question towards the end. I was asking who owns now the application? Is it civil society led or government led? But the fact that she's mentioned that you have friction between the government and the app, I think my question has been responded.
So it's led by civil servants, it's led by us, but the answers, they come from the government. So it's really direct between citizens that can ask question and government that replies. And we are doing the technical part, I would say. We develop the app and we make sure, I mean, we inform the minister that a question is addressed to him or her, and we publish the answer, you know. So we are making the link between the citizens and the government.
Great, thanks, Tiffany. And there's one more question in the chat that I'll take from Tim Caprono asking about the compensation and kind of examples of how compensation might work. So how it's done, are resources set aside for it, how much might be allocated?
Yeah, so normally it's about 80 euros per day because it's based on the jury, the citizens' jury fee. So we reproduce the same. And sometimes when you have many days, it comes to 50 euros per day. Otherwise, it would be too expensive in the budget. But we try to, what we are now thinking with the status is trying to make to encourage people to at least put this 50 euros per day to compensate some loss of loss, and also to value their participation.
Great, many thanks, Tiffany. So any more questions we will collect, and we will maybe find a way to answer after the session. But thank you for your time, Tiffany. So we're just going to finish off very quickly with another quick exercise for everyone. So we started the conversation focused around barriers to mainstream participation, but now we want to turn our attention more to opportunities for mainstream participation. So particularly perhaps from what you've heard from the discussion today, is there anything that kind of particularly stands out to you as interesting or exciting around opportunities for mainstreaming participation? So again, QR code and link is on the screen.
And go to the second slide, not the first one. We've already done the first one, so just go to the second slide once you're there.
Mel, I think you might need to move us on, because I don't see an option to move to slides.
That's interesting. Okay, cool. I will do that. Let's do this. Can I share my screen?
Oh, that works. That's great.
No, not that one. Let's share this one. Okay, I see some responses coming in.
Yeah, we have a couple of responses. I think so. One was apathy from systems, which I'm assuming was for the previous conversation. But we've also got system assemblies, possibilities of digital applications, building essential units for ministries to work with, communicating the value in the business case for participation, growing acknowledgement that current governance approaches are not working, improving digital culture of system participation, meshing governance and CSO ideals, formalizing the role of participation coordinators.
Awesome. I think I have it now. Too many things open. All right.
Yeah. So compensating participation is also there. Yeah, replicating the Agora app or digital platform.
I can help with that. That is my domain.
Now is your person. Grievance mechanisms, sharing knowledge and resources. It's one on applying the water systems change theory to improve the current participatory processes of the Dutch Ministry of Infrastructure and Management, water management. Legislation. Budgets or provisions for assembly or jury members. So yeah, range of different opportunities coming in there. And I think particularly as we're building on the conversation across the week, it'd be good to kind of turn some of these ideas, and I think particularly as we get towards the end of the week as well, and think around some of the systems change side of thing that's needed as well. We'll come back to the waters of systems change approach, just to think through what that might look like in our different contexts. That's hopefully given a good kind of basis for the rest of the week. Some kind of overarching thinking, but then also some specific examples for us to build on as well, and lots of kind of challenges and opportunities for us to think about further as well. So thank you all for your participation, and I'm going to hand back to Mel to tell us about what happens next.